Hello there. In this video, I'm going to walk you through just a simple product idea that I tested with a few different AI models. And my goal in this video is really just to show you the kinds of things we're seeing with clients, how they're using AI, and just some of the things to be mindful of. Some of the gotchas. It kind of leads you down a path depending on which model or which product you're using. So this is really, if you are still dabbling, like most people are, this might give you some ideas, but it's also a little bit of a caution to think harder about the actual answers that you get. You've probably heard that expression, answers are plentiful, but good questions are hard to find these days. And I think that is part of the skill of using AI productively. I'm going to show you how you can very easily go down a rabbit hole and just waste a lot of time. Okay, so first of all, I just gave it this prompt, and I've deliberately kept this prompt very simple. I'll tell you what the prompt is, and you'll see that like there's hardly any context. There's no role that's been assigned. There's nowhere near enough kind of information for the models to kind of give you a useful answer in a way. So why have I done that? Because that's how most people are using it. And so then you'll fall into the trap that many are. So what is this prompt? This prompt is, look, we often get called, well, actually not often. We occasionally get called in by some of our clients when they're hiring internally for a HubSpot specialist or strategist. Normally someone on the marketing team has been responsible for that hire. They're down to just a short list of candidates. The marketing manager is a bit more high level, so they don't know the skills down at on the tools level. So we get brought in, can you just vet these short list of clients? We want to know if they actually know HubSpot or they're just really good at padding their CV. So we're like, yeah, sure, that's a good idea. And so I'm like, well, I wonder if we should turn this into a service offering, actually make it a clear offering on our website. And so you can do this with any idea. So I've kind of prompted it. I have another business idea to provide a service to companies who are looking for HubSpot specialists. Goes on. Problem, often marketing managers can't tell if they're good or not, or they just look good. I'm thinking of offering a service, and then I'd like your analysis of whether this is a good idea. And what would the format be? What would the pricing? Okay. So first of all, I'm in Claude, and I've used Claude Sonnet for. Let's see what it said. Strong concept with clear market need. This is one of the first things you'll find. The models often tell you, and they give you the reasons. Estimated monthly revenue, 3 to 8,000, apparently. Like, I don't know where it gets these numbers from. Recommended structure. Look, that's probably reasonable. Kind of a 90-minute technical interview and, a pricing per candidate. That's actually not terrible. I kind of go, yeah, I can see that working. And then look, a rush service, 50% premium. Well, maybe, I don't know. If you've left it too late to be kind of vetting your potential hires, there's probably other problems to solve, and then a retainer based and, ideal customer profile. Okay. So just remember some of those things, 3 to 8K initially, and like a 300 to 500 per candidate. So that's Claude Sonnet. Then I did the exactly the same prompt. All I did is change the model to Opus 4. And then it comes out and it's telling me, oh yeah, per assessment, 1,500 to 3,500, depending on depth. So immediately a totally different ballpark. It said it's a strong pain point to be addressing. Again, tells you it's a great idea. Two-tier offering, standard assessment. So you can see here, 1,500 to 2,000. I'll just go back to Claude. The same platform, just a different model. It was kind of 350 to 500. So straight away you can see same prompt, different models, totally different responses, deep dive assessments. This goes into a bit more depth because the Opus model kind of thinks a bit more. You don't, by the way, this is one of the things, like I don't know all the different models. How do you keep up? I've got someone on my team that kind of gives us a weekly update on AI models and what to look for and use. But most people who are dabbling or just playing, they don't know. Which one should I use? And I look at these two answers. I'm like, which one should I use? Which one? And here's the crux of it. It's kind of like, well, they're both helpful. Maybe you take a bit from each, and this is the thing. Don't outsource your thinking. Outsource a bit of the research and maybe the ideas and challenging you, but you've got to do the thinking. Okay. Anyway, it goes on. Then I further asked this one. I said, look, would this be better as a service via my company, Zen? That's XEN, but anyway, that's another topic. Or should I do it as a personal brand? Because I thought this would be interesting for it, a kind of go-to-market. What should I be thinking? Again, this is still very high level. It came back and it's all about personal brand and gave me the reasons. If you're starting out, people trust personal brands. And I quite like that idea. That fits in with my thinking. If we were going to scale it, maybe then it's a company brand. Okay, so that's Claude already, two totally different things. I took it to Perplexity as well. I don't know if you use Perplexity. I use it all the time. It's probably my most used AI tool because it just has replaced Google for me for anything and everything. I just ask Perplexity for everything. Exactly the same prompt. It goes off. It does a bit more real-time searching of the web. I don't know what the underlying model is. Maybe they're using Claude or something. I'm not sure. It doesn't really, who cares, right? Who cares? Gives me analysis. Yeah, it thinks it's a good business offering and timely. Tells me why, skill gaps, format, and then pricing. Interesting, $50 to $500 for automated tests, but then $600 to $1,500. Oh, sorry, no. It's giving me a bit of an overview of what's out there in terms of tools. Testing tools are that. Can consultants charge that per day, and agencies charge that for HubSpot? So then per candidate, 400 to 900 per assessment, 1 to 2 hours. You might do bulk pricing. Gives me the customer profiles. I actually thought Perplexity was pretty reasonable. It's pretty good on a lot of things. It does give references so you can easily check the sources, which is nice in Perplexity. I will say, because I've been using Perplexity for so long and so many queries, I have found myself over time, I can tell when it's made stuff up, or actually not made stuff up, it's misinterpreted stuff. So you do have to be aware of that with Perplexity. Anyway, it goes, so yeah, look, final thoughts, it's pretty good. So Perplexity, yeah, it's good. That's more in line with the Claude Sonnet answer rather than the Opus. And then finally, I put it through Manus, which I don't use Manus as much as other tools, but it does a lot more research. Exactly the same prompt. Again, I wanted the same prompt for all of them. So normally for Manus, if I was doing, which is a lot more research based, I'd give it a lot more information. I'd also ask it to ask me questions about what it needs to really get more research, because it goes off. And by the way, it took 20 to 30 minutes, I think, doing all its research. And I'll tell you what it came up with at the end, PDF, but I'll just have a look at it. Here it is. It's actually quite extensive. It does a lot of market research. And Manus, before I go on, Manus is kind of like, remember you're at uni and your lecturer would give you some topic that you had to go and research and provide a case study on, and you kind of had to do 20 or 30 pages report on it. That's basically what Manus does. And like when you're at uni doing those reports, they kind of got it, had a look at it, probably didn't read it, chucked it out and said, oh yeah, that looks good. And well, was there benefit for anyone? Well, yeah, for you were doing a bit of research, you're learning a skill. And if it was an interesting topic, it's quite good. I still remember way back in uni, I did a software engineering degree. I'm going totally off topic here, but when I did that, one of the topics was Alzheimer's disease. So this is way back in the late 90s. I had a lot of, I won't say fun, a lot of satisfaction doing a full report on that. All the research at the time, I mean, it's old now. Why am I telling you this? Because that I thought was a very good skill to learn, and it made me think. I had to go through all the sources and think and collate and curate. That's a skill that's going away with AI, because tools like Manus, they just do all of this for you. And this is probably 30 pages of stuff that frankly no one's going to read. And the other thing to tell you is if you're getting these kind of reports internally from your teams, it's probably come straight from the tool. They probably haven't critically thought about the answers, and possibly they've prompted it with such a simple prompt like this that really the value of what's provided is minimal, in my opinion. I'm not anti-AI. I know you know that if you've seen my other videos. I'm very embracing AI, but I'm very wary of just the hype and overvaluing answers. What we need is more critical thinking. We need better questions up front, and we need to be solving real problems rather than creating reports about stuff that actually creates problems in itself. People always talk about, oh, look, with this simple prompt, I can create a 20-page report, as if that's productive, because then you're just creating 20-page reports that poor suckers have to read, and that's very anti-productive. But anyway, what I was going to tell you is, yeah, here's the answer about, look just how it goes on. I'll make this available if you want to actually read it yourself. Gives you all this pricing, packaging, all kinds of stuff, volume discounts, retainers, the full thing, add-on services, onboarding roadmap. Look, I'm not saying this is bad. It's probably good to think through some of these things, and there's fixed costs and the business model and all of this. I guess my warning or my caution around this is that when you go through and you get all these kind of results, just remember this is just one model amongst many. It goes on and on and on. And so I think there is actually value of doing this across a whole bunch of models. If you've got an idea, get answers from different models, but pull them back in and make sure you're thinking through, was your question good enough? And then you can do follow-up questions. That's the simple. And normally with Manus, I'd go on and ask it more questions and limit it down. Anyway, so I've gone on for a little bit, but what's my main takeaway from this? Well, one, the models are good, but be careful with your models. If you've been using the AI tools for a while, you know this. But for many of our clients and people we talk with, they're not. They've got their one model. You notice I didn't even use ChatGPT here because I know everyone's probably using ChatGPT. We use a lot ourselves internally, but they've probably gone to ChatGPT. They haven't even chosen the model they're using. They've put in a prompt. They get this answer. They go, oh, great, that's saved me an hour of work. And really, has it? Has it? So I want you thinking the same. Use all these tools, but don't think that they're a simple answer unless you've actually got your question well defined. So I'll leave it there and I'll leave you to think about some of those things. And well, I'd love your thoughts. Do you think it's actually a good idea offering a recruitment service will vet your final HubSpot candidates in the selection process? Maybe, maybe not. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.